Personally, I think useless machines are probably some of the cooler redstone contraptions. They're easy to make, number one. Number two, they're fun to make. And number three, you can kind of make them any way you want. And, I mean, I guess they would still serve their purpose. As long as they are useless and they destroy whatever the input is, they are then accepted into the useless machine community. So, today I'm going to be showing you two different useless machines, and one of them is just the straight up classic useless machine, which, you know, put the lever here. If I actually had one and was prepared, I would have, but yeah, right here. Put a lever here, and then it just breaks the lever and retracts into the wall. It is actually the smallest physically possible because there's no other way to actually activate this block over here without making it one bigger on the side or using the bottom, which is what we did, and this is the smallest possible size. So yeah, here we go. That's just the first one. It's pretty simple. Don't think it needs a tutorial, but just since I'm doing this one over here, which I will get to, I decided I'd add another one in just for extra, you know, funness, I guess. So yeah, there we go. Here's the big banger, or whatever people say nowadays, not sure. So, what you do for this one is it's pretty much the same. You put your lever down, you flick it, and then it's going to be destroyed. But the way it works is kind of weird. So we have a block up here, and that pretty much prevents the use of machine from breaking itself, and obviously it retracts back into the ground. But if you're building this in survival and you're going to build it in like a random area, you're not going to need that because chances are your floor is going to be beyond 15 or 12 blocks rather. So you can put this here and it will not break because you have enough blocks here to prevent this piston from pushing out at the beginning. But I did have to add that circuit just so I could say it is the mass that it is, which is... Pretty sure this is 148 blocks, and if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. You can tell me in the comments if you want to. Not that I doubt you will, because nobody cares. But, yeah, I'll be doing a tutorial on this as well, and there's going to be an optional thing for here if you want to have this go up. I mean, also, you could just put obsidian at the side, but then it's going to make it a block longer. It's not really using the space too well. So, yeah. That is what this is. So I guess we will, number one, start with the easy tutorial, which has the materials right here. So for this build, you will need, not this stuff. This stuff is not, you don't want that stuff. That's not what you want. So for this build, you're going to need 4 sticky pistons, 4 observers, 2 pistons, 3 regular repeaters, redstone repeaters. Don't know why I said regular. 1 redstone torch, 2 redstone dust, 1 lamp, and 6 wool. By the way, I designed this to be extremely cheap so that you don't really have to worry about, you know, spending too many materials on something as simple as a useless machine. Obviously, if you're building it creative, then you don't have to worry about that, but this is obviously just, you know, I made it cheap because I wanted to. Anyway, we're going to start by getting our materials in probably a good order. I hope I get it in a good order. Okay, so now we break that, and then we can start, and yes, I'm going to be looking back because I can't remember. So first, we go to our input block, which I made cyan right here, or rather, no, that's not cyan, that's blue. So right here, we have our input block. You can flick this lever on, because that's just what we want to do right now. You put a repeater here, set the 4 ticks, put a block right here, piston right here, put a redstone torch on the top of that piston, or rather the side, put a redstone lamp right there, 2 observers coming out the side, 1 going up, and then also right next to it we're going to put a sticky piston right here, so it's going to be a sticky piston on top of that observer. Then we're going to get right here to where the second block in this thing is, put a piston there, build back 3 temporary blocks. That is a lever, not a temporary block. We're going to build out 3 blocks. Break the first 2 and then place 2 pistons right here. So this is going to be our double piston extension. Also, you can break that block because I don't think the redstone actually even goes back there, which is pretty funny. So now we just want to put a regular piece of redstone dust right there. Don't know why I said regular. I don't know how irregular redstone dust can really get, but that's not to be discussed. Anyway, right here we're going to put a repeater. If I remember the timing, it is set to 3 ticks. So right here, repeater, place it down and press it twice. He's going to find out who's naughty or nice. Okay, now we're going to put this here. So that piston should extend, and yeah, we should have a full double piston extension. Also, this block will be here. Just put that block right here on top of that sticky piston. So that will fully work when we close it now. Now what we want to do is we want to go down 2 temporary blocks. So 1, 2, break the one on top. I guess there's only 1 temporary block because this one is staying. We're going to put a redstone dust on top of it. Then under it, we're going to put a repeater right here on top of a block, set the 4 ticks. And this is going to delay this. I'll actually explain everything at the end. And then right here, we're going to put a sticky piston with an observer on its face. And then just to activate it, we're just going to replace this observer really quickly. Or you could just activate the lamp. So I'll do that actually. So we just activate the lamp. And yeah, that's all good. Then we can get rid of our lever. And then that's it. So now if I put a lever not there, here, we'll have the full extension and retraction. I think it's pretty cool the way it looks. So, time to explain how things work for those of you who don't understand. So first step, we want to, number one, extend this piston. So this piston, when extended, or rather when powered, is going to invert this torch. So this torch is going to be negative, or rather, yeah, inverted. So this block is going to go down here, the piston is going to retract. As well as that, one redstone tick later, so 2 redstone ticks later, this glowstone lamp is going to turn off, meaning that after these observers detect from it, so 2, 1, 1, after consumer it's 2 redstone ticks, then 1 after that, so 4 redstone ticks later is going to power this block. Meanwhile, this double piston extension is going to activate, which is going to set a block right here. This observer is going to activate that block, which is going to break our lever, and then everything retracts. And then we have these 4 ticks down here, just to leave the bottom bit retracted for a little bit longer, so we have time to retract it without the piston going up to this position, which we wouldn't want. So, if I'm just to do this with the lever, we can see how it extends and then retracts, and I think it looks amazing. I personally think it's really cool, but now it's time to get into the next one, which is right here. And we already went over it. This piston here is optional, obviously, then the repeater is as well. The block does have to stay though, because it is useful for our nice delay circuit over there. So let's get started. This build, you will need, let's try saying this, 24 observers, 14 solid blocks for your redstone, 1 transparent block, which in this case I use a slab, and I'm saying this longer so I have time to prepare for the next one so I can say things speedy. Yay! You also need a pressure plate that cannot be a stone pressure plate. In this case, just use a gold one, just because it's the one I used and it looks the best. Great. Now we need 6 redstone repeaters, 3 comparators, 3 hoppers, 8 sticky pistons, 7 pistons, 2 redstone blocks, 4 redstone torches, 1 furnace, or rather NBT block value thingy, or any block entity. Any block entity you can use, but in this case I use a furnace. Now we need a cobweb, 14 rubbish blocks, in this case I use glowstone just because funny, and then redstone, just redstone. Very descriptive of you, Minecraft. So, if I grab all these blocks after getting rid of my inventory, then we can start. Also, I did forget 2 very important parts. We need 2 droppers as well for this build, so do not forget you're going to need 2 droppers. And we're going to start with our piston layout. So, first you want to get your block that you want to have the useless machine be, so your lever block, which if I actually had a lever would be amazing once again. So lever right here. So we gotta figure out what block you want. Again, I used the blue terracotta just so I have a nice idea of that. So what you want to have is a piston right here at the bottom right corner. So if I get rid of these blocks really quickly, you can see that there's a piston at a weird diagonal, and don't worry, it's gonna, I guess, be easier to put the next blocks in, because right next to that piston you're going to need an observer, and then behind that observer, so go up 3 blocks, break the 2 blocks, and they're gonna need a piston, then a sticky piston. Okay, now that we have that part of the layout done, we can go to the other side. So what we're gonna need down here is a type of double piston extension, so we're going to put 2 sticky pistons right there. So if you want to count from here, that block, then 1, 2, 3 blocks down, then you can have your 2 sticky pistons facing upward. Next to this piston, you're going to want to place 2 temporary blocks and then a regular piston facing that sticky piston, and this is just going to be our block storage over there, so we don't have to worry too much about that. Actually, the easiest part of the build. So first we want to place in our double piston extension. This is probably the most, I guess, difficult part of the circuit, or actually the easiest part, but it gets difficult if you don't place it in early. Anyway, we're going to start by placing a temporary block next to the bottom piston. Actually, that's incorrect. We're going to go down. Yeah, no, never mind. I'm sorry. We're going to place a temporary block next to the bottom piston. Right next to that piston, we're going to place a dropper facing upwards, and I can get rid of the block. And then under this piston, you're going to place a dropper facing downwards. So this is going to be our quick little RS NOR latch for the door. And if I grab my wool block, which I completely forgot to have in my inventory, or rather, I just forgot to have in my hotbar, we can put temporary block here, block, break that block, and then place a redstone comparator there. And also, is it really called a redstone comparator? That's weird. So, you know, I said place this on top of a block. Don't do that. So what you're actually going to do, let me just get rid of this so it's easier. You're going to, number 1, get an observer, place it one right down here, so observer facing downwards, observer facing this way, into a block with a comparator right here. Discord's going mad right now, but look, then you place a random block up here in the top dropper, so have a random block up there. So if you activate this, you will see after some time will just be our extension and retraction. Now on top of this comparator, you want to place an observer, so there's going to be 1, well, it's not really an air block, but there's going to be a little space in between, and that's going to be going into an observer. Now, right here, we want to place a temporary block, and then a hopper. It doesn't have to be facing any certain direction, just a random hopper right there. Down one from the hopper, so the hopper is going to be right there. We're going to go one observer down. Then that's going to be going into a sticky piston with an observer on top of it. Then that observer is going to be going into a block, so right there. And remember, this is a sticky piston. And then below the sticky piston, you want to place an observer. And then we're going to place one to the right here. So you're going to go down one from that sticky piston, one here, and one here. So you're going to have this walking space here in between the droppers, which is kind of dumb, but it's going to just have to stay. Anyway, right here, place two observers on top of this observer. Place a cyan wool right there. Yes, you have to use cyan wool or it's not going to work. I'm joking. Just use any solid block for redstone. And then right here, you're going to place a redstone repeater on 3 ticks. So place it down, press it twice. He's going to find out who's not. Okay, and then we're going to place a block right here. And then a piston, or rather a random block right there, with redstone dust on top of it. And that is your full entire double piston extension working. And actually, this is the full closing circuit. So, if I was to activate this piece of the arsenal latch, you would see this happen. Yeah, that's exactly what you want. So what you would have is you would have a piston right here in this position. So if you just activate that, then it goes to, oh gosh, I didn't do it slow enough. It grabs that piston and then pushes that block right back in where it needs to be. And yes, if it's on 4 ticks, it'll just be more in sync. It'll be more reliable, but it's on 3 ticks because it's just the fastest on a good day. Now onto the opening circuit, which is actually surprisingly easy. So what you do is you just do this, and I say opening circuit because it's not really a door, but just I guess the rising edge part of it. You're going to activate the lever just so we have a better visual of what's happening. Then you put this down into a piston, or rather an observer, so observer on the face of that piston. By the way, still a sticky piston right here. And then we're going to place a sticky piston right here facing this observer. So that's just going to activate this. We're just going to, oh, I didn't even do it. It's going to activate that. We're just going to grab that right there, which is exactly what we want. Next to that sticky piston, or right on top of the sticky piston to this side, so remember, this is our closing circuit right here. We're going to place a redstone torch right there. On top of it, we're going to place a regular piston, and then right next to it, we're going to place another redstone torch. Place one temporary block in front of that redstone torch, one down, break that block, and then go into a 3-tick repeater, so place it down, press it 3 times, and that's going to be going into a sticky piston, and then if I go into my inventory, that's going to have a redstone block on top of it, so redstone block right there, and that's going to power that first piston. Now, what we want to do is we have pretty much that part of the closing done, so we want to then extend this piston right here, which is pretty simple, so we're just going to put a block right here. We're not going to make that a solid block, we're just going to put an observer right here, so observer there, and then place 2 observers coming out the side of it. I do hope it's 2. Yeah, it is 2. Okay, fun. And then right on top of that, we're going to place a repeater, set to 4 ticks, so place it down, press it 3 times, and now that's a 4-tick repeater facing that piston. And it does have to be 4 ticks because of delay, fun, but don't worry, it's not that much of an issue. Okay, right here we want to place a block, so in front of those observers. Then we want to grab a regular piston right there. Then we're going to place our transparent block right there. So let me just grab a transparent block, so right there. Then on top of that transparent block, we're going to place a pressure plate. Now this is for our minecart, which is going to be fun to place in, so we're actually going to remove that pressure plate for a minute because we're going to place in our minecart, which I didn't even include in the materials list. I will leave, I guess, an edit. I don't know how to edit though, so I'm bad, I'm sorry. Joking, by the way, I can edit. So we're going to grab 2 things, or rather 3 things that I left out of the materials list, which I guess I'll put in the description just to help, I guess. So I'm going to put a fence gate on top of that transparent block, a rail here, minecart on top of the rail, and if that rail isn't facing that way, just go out here. So put a block there, rail there, make it face that way into the fence. Now on top of that, we're going to put a minecart, push it into the fence, so it should be right on the top of the fence. Then we break the block and the rail. So the minecart should be right there. Now we can get rid of this stuff, so our rail stuff, and then oh my gosh, I just completely defeated the purpose of that. Then we just grab our pressure plate, which I just do into the void like a buffoon. Then we would put that right here, and that should go down, so this pressure plate, or rather this minecart, is activating that pressure plate. Right here, place temporary block, real block right there, so this is just going to be our cobweb to make a nice pulse extender. So if you see right here, that's going to stay in the cobweb, take a little bit of time to fall down, and when it does, then it's going to reactivate the pressure plate. Right next to the pressure plate, we're going to place, I guess, a temporary block right here, and then a block right there. So that piston is going to be extended right now. So on top of the piston, we're going to place a redstone torch going into our furnace. And at the beginning I said you need 13 rubbish blocks, or rather 14. You are going to need an additional one, which I doubt you'd find a problem finding. You just mind a piece of dirt. So I'm just going to get, I guess, a random block. So I'm going to use a beehive because I'm funny. We're going to put a beehive in here. I didn't know you could smelt beehives, or rather use them as fuel. That's pretty funny. I'm going to go right on top of this 4-tick repeater, place an observer, so facing that, oh, not there. We're going to place an observer facing that piston. An observer facing the piston, so the face out towards the back of the contraption. We can continue. So what we want to do is we want to place another redstone block right here, rather a block for our redstone. Put that right there. Then right next to it, next to the torch actually, we're going to place a oh gosh, my Minecraft just did a weird thing. We're going to place a repeater, set the 4 ticks, so press it once, or rather place it once. You can't really place it several times, it's kind of, don't think that's how it works. So place it down, and then click it 3 times, so now it's the 4-tick repeater. You'll know because the torches are very far apart. And then that activates the block. You can also just put the block up there several times if you need to. So that's that part done. Right here, next to this piston, so this is our input right here. We're going to go next to this piston, place a temporary block. Once again, grab our hopper right here, and then put another one right here. So that hopper is going to be toggled by that redstone torch, but that's not really going to matter. Right next to this observer right here, we're going to place a block right here, and then we're going to have a comparator facing out from this observer. And you're probably wondering why there's just a random comparator there. Well, actually, I'm going to just do a little bit of a crash course thing right here. Block entities can be detected by comparators through pistons, even though pistons are not solid. So if I put a random block in here, and we have a comparator right here, this would actually detect that, which I think is pretty fun, and it's very useful in redstone contraptions. So this comparator would detect when this piston is extended. So we can then put a block in front of that comparator, a redstone block to the side of that block, or rather a sticky piston with a redstone block on its face. Alright, on top of this hopper, we're going to place a repeater, block in front of that repeater, and then in this hopper right here, you place your 13 rubbish items. So that goes right there, and that's exactly what we want. Grab a regular piston, place it right next to the redstone block right here, so there are 2 redstone blocks there. Place it right here, not to the side, facing right downwards. Then we want to grab an observer, place it next to that piston, so right here. So you want it to be next to the head of the piston, so right there. And then that's pretty much it. We just need to place the circuit right here. So you just place a comparator right there. So a block and then a comparator on top. Going into a block with a redstone torch on its face. Now, in front of that we're going to place a repeater. This is not a repeater, this is a sticky piston with an observer on top of it. Once you have that all done, your build is complete. So before I give any promises, I'm going to test it myself. So you should be able to retract this without anything happening. So right here, you do that, extend that, then it's going to do that, and obviously we didn't have a removable block in front. So yeah, that's just going to do a weird thing. And that's exactly what we want. So as you see, that block went in front, which is exactly what happens if you don't have a movable block in front or have enough blocks so that it can't push. So what you can also do is just put a repeater right here facing a sticky piston facing upwards. So sticky piston right there, and then that won't happen anymore. But if you do just have a big floor and you don't need that, just make sure there are at least 12 blocks in front, or you could have the other solution of putting obsidian in front. So that's exactly it. I did hope you enjoyed this tutorial because it took actually no time to make. I'm probably going to make this whole video in one day, and I also hit 400 subscribers today. So thank you guys very much for getting me there. It's not really a milestone, but I do once again appreciate it. Appreciate it, whatever I'm saying, I do appreciate it. So I hope you have a lovely day. That's all I have for today. So yeah, goodbye. Well, I didn't do my weird high-pitched weird goodbye. But, well, actually my voice has been suffering majorly from doing that. It's been suffering. I've been struggling speaking. I've been having a cough from every time I say goodbye in a high-pitched voice. That happens So I unfortunately am going to have to lower the pitch just a little. Goodbye.